So how's everybody doing? Everyone followed? Any questions? Yes?
You may get this with priority, because I was going to say, you want to leave it so you know that you've been pushing it out.
Right. Good question. Well, so when I use this technique, I'm using VI, so it's DDJP, in case you were curious, for that one. I tend to move things to the top of the next day's list, because in general I do things in the order they appear on the list. We'll talk more about reordering items, but yeah, I tend to move things down. Now on paper that sort of happens automatically, because if next day you don't have anything, obviously anything you move to it is at the top. So as a result, items that you've procrastinated on and moved to the next day, to the next day, to the next day, they start bubbling up to the top of the list and should get higher priority automatically. Mm-hmm. Yes? Good question. Would it be helpful to track the start date so you can see how many days you've pushed something ahead? Right. So usually I've only moved it to the next day, so I can factor that out, and if it's moved to the next day I don't need to write anything, but if I've moved it a week ahead, yeah, I might mark that. If I've moved it 2 days or 1 day, 1, 2, or 3 days, I can turn pages pretty quickly. In hindsight, in all the time I've been doing this, I've never needed to know where it came from, just by sheer luck. And if I did, I just flipped back a couple pages and found the item. Yes?
Sir, can you use done versus X? I've been using X as my first character on the done CVI for years.
Done, X, whatever you want. Well, X is the patented technique, but feel free to. Yes. Whatever. I like having done at the beginning of the line when I use a text editor, because I just feel like I could grep for it easier, or it makes a column of dones. Yes.
It's a psychological thing too. It's done.
Yeah, I'm saying done. It's capital. It's done. Woo! Victory roll. Yeah. There's a hand up there.
So you use only one file when you use text editor rather than one per day?
Yes, good point. So in text editor, you use one file, and you just scroll towards to the end, every morning. And in fact, if you have to write weekly reports or yearly reports, you have your report almost done. You could just skim this and pick out everything you need. Where I work, we do weekly reports, and mine is basically just sort of a best of my to-do list, or these things translated into what other people would understand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, one page. So other questions? How many people felt like, okay, Tom, is this all there is? Or, gee, Tom walked us through that? Why did he make us practice that? He explained it, and I felt sort of weird, moving these items. Well, the truth is, this feels weird the first 3 times that you do this. And then it starts feeling less weird, and by the second week or third week, you're really into it. So I've just removed, so now instead of it feeling weird the first 3 times, you only have 2 more times for it to feel weird. So you're ahead of the game. I find the feedback I got when I first started teaching this class, or teaching about time management, was great techniques, but it's a year later and I didn't get started. Well, now you've gotten started. Or at least you felt like you've gotten started. So if you did it on paper, cool. You can get a stack of index cards, or buy some stationery after the conference, or go to the wiki page and there's links to the exact ordering information for a lot of this stuff. If you're using a PDA, hopefully you got a little practice now, or paper, you've started the file, wherever you stored that file, if it was on your desktop or in /temp, well, move it out of /temp, put it on your desktop, put it someplace very accessible. Other questions? Yes?
If you're using a PDA with a to-do list, you lose the sort of historical information. You change the date on the to-do list, it goes several days ahead, you don't know where it came from, and you've lost track of that. Is it worthwhile to track all that stuff someplace separately?
Good question. So in an electronic thing, you're losing when something started. You're only seeing where it was done. Is it worth tracking all that? I don't find it useful to track all that. It's just more. It removes the convenience of the system. Now, some PDA software, you can hit like a more info, and it'll say this appeared on this date and was completed on that date. The Apigo software that I've been using lately does sort of keep this trail, this history of what you've completed tied to each day that it was completed. So you do get some history. Other questions? Cool. And most importantly, it's 5 o'clock. We've moved this one last item to the next day. Today's list is totally done.